Hello everyone, hope you all are doing well. Today I am going to introduce the program Adobe InDesign. But first, before we get started, I want to make sure that you guys are taking your notes. So if you don't have a pen and paper next to you, stop the video and grab some so you guys could take notes, because InDesign is a big program like Photoshop but has the same little technical problems you may run into. So we're going to start with InDesign. Before we open our program, what I want you to do is go ahead and make a folder. I know some of you guys are using PCs. I'm working on a Mac. So I want you to go ahead and make a folder. And after you've made that folder, I want you to grab maybe about 5 or 6 images from the internet, whatever images you want: celebrity, travel, food, fashion, whatever. Does not matter what you choose. But you need to create a folder first. And once you grab those images from the internet, whatever you choose, I want you to place those images within that folder. So that's the very first thing I want you to do. The reason why is because when you start creating in InDesign, you want to make the computer's job a little bit easier, so that when it's searching and you're opening your files, it's not looking all over the place for your images. So always make a root folder to store your images in. That way when you start building in your file, that it's just the computer's looking from one place to grab those images. So I've already got my images, and my images are of Hawaii. Hopefully I'll be taking my vacation there. One of the places I plan on going. But my images are from Hawaii. Okay, so you've made your folder, you've grabbed those images. Let's go ahead and open InDesign. Alright, so unlike Photoshop, which is photo editing software, InDesign is layout software. It's desktop publishing. So within this program, you can lay out your books, you can lay out newsletters, you can make brochures, and you can create whole magazines. So what we're going to go through today is there's going to be a couple of videos. We're going to go through and build a little booklet, and it's going to mimic how, when you guys get into week 5 and 6, your magazine. So I hope you guys are also thinking about some creative ideas for your magazine, whether it be music, hair, fashion, whatever. I hope you guys are pulling those images that you want to use, because it'll make the process when you get into it way easier. All right, so let's jump into InDesign. So InDesign is designated at the top. It says InDesign. It is the ID, and the color of it is pink. So some of your shortcut commands will transfer, and you're able to use those same shortcut commands in InDesign. For example, let's create a new document. Shortcut command to create a new document: Command N, or you can go to File, New. Alright, so let's go ahead and set up our document. So we want to work with first, print. Alright, we want to click on print. Next, we want to select the letter. You guys know that letter is always 8.5 by 11. Okay, that does not change. The difference is here we're working in picas. Alright, that's why it has 51p and 66p. These both translate into 8.5 by 11 as inches. So let's just change our units and make our units inches. So let's give it a last name. Let's say Hope. Hope _ demo. Our orientation will be portrait. Number of pages, let's do 1, 2, 4. Let's do 5 pages. We'll do 5 pages for now. And our start page is going to be page 1. So if you notice right down at the bottom, you can select preview, and preview will show you what your document looks like before you get into it. All right, so we got 5 pages. We're starting on page 1. If I were to start on page 2, oops, oh, that's columns. If I were to start on page 2, this is what the preview would look like, but we are starting with page 1. The number of columns we want to have 6 columns. You guys can see that as I'm building it, 6 columns. We're not going to mess around with your gutter, and we'll come back to your bleed and your slug and your margins a little bit later. Well, actually, let's do your margins. So your margins should be 0.5. We'll worry about your bleed later. All right, go ahead and press create. So once you've pressed create, your setup looks a little the same like Photoshop. All right, to the left you should have your toolbar, and to the right you have your different panels. So if anytime you don't have your toolbar is always located under Window, Tools. Okay, so some of your tools do the same thing. Unlike Photoshop, in InDesign, you guys are not working in layers, so everything's working together on one plane. All right, so we have our selection tool, and your selection tool does the same exact thing the move tool does in Photoshop. It allows you to move your images and move your text. So let's go ahead and start by setting our margins. Well, actually, let's not. So when you guys created your document, we already set our margins at 1/2 inch. You can see the border, it's set at 1/2. And then we went ahead and created our margins. All of your text, any text, can remain within your margins. Your text should not be outside of your margin line. Any image, any shape can go all the way to the edge of the document and past it. All right, so let's start first with how to place an image in InDesign. All right, so to place an image in InDesign, the first tool you want to use is the rectangle frame tool. So if you click on the rectangle frame tool, you can hold it down. It will give you different options of different shapes you can create a frame for. We want to use the rectangle frame tool. All right, so anytime you guys want to put a picture into InDesign, you always want to make a rectangle frame. So our rectangle frame is going to be the size of our document. All right, so once you've made that frame, now you want to place an image into that frame. All right, so now we're going to place that image. We're going to go to File, Place. All right, and I'm going to go to my folder, Week 4 InDesign Tutorial, and I can pick any image I want to place here. So what image you want for your cover? I think I'm going to choose this image. So whatever image you want to choose for your cover, use that. Go ahead and press open. So there are a couple of things that just happened. One, I made a rectangle frame that was the size of my document. Two, I placed my image by going to File, Place, and now my image is inside that frame. But just looking at my image doesn't fill up my entire frame. Don't worry about it if your image did not fill up your entire frame. In InDesign, there's a feature that will allow you to make your image the size of your frame without stretching it. To do this, you will go to Object, Fitting, and you have two options you can choose: Fill Frame Proportionally or Fill Content Proportionately. All right, I chose to fill frame proportionally. And what that did is it made the image the size of the frame. Always making a frame, you will never stretch your images. If you drag and drop images into InDesign, you will always end up stretching your images. So it's important for you to make a frame. Just to go back and show you what I did, I placed my image inside my document by making that rectangle frame first, Object, Fitting, and Fill Frame Proportionately. Now you are the designer, so it's up to you to figure out which one works best, but you always want to do proportionately. Now let's say you had an image, you filled it proportionally, and it didn't work. Choose another image. So right now we're strictly just dealing with placing that image. Don't want you to worry about anything else. We'll get into why the image is blurred and a couple of technical issues there. But let's say if I fill content proportionately, my image was a landscape and I put it inside of a portrait document. But I want my image to stretch or enlarge and be the size of my rectangle frame. So I can go back, Object, Fitting, Fill Frame Proportionately. That way my horizontal image can fill the space of my portrait frame. Cool? All right, so one more thing before I go or in this video. So let's say that your image is blurred. The reason why your image is blurred, and you want to write this down, is because InDesign does not pull the full resolution of your image. So anytime you're working in InDesign, your images are not at 100%. Some of you guys may know what I'm talking about if you're used to dealing with video. You don't edit video at 100%. You can edit video at 50% or 25%. Same thing goes with your images. But InDesign automatically does it so that you're not working at the highest resolution, okay? So to check your images to make sure that they are high quality, this is just to check it. You don't have to do this every time. Once you've checked it one time, you as the designer know that your images are good. So to check your image, because my image is blurred, we're going to go to Object, Display Performance, High Quality. So once I did that high quality, you can see that my image is not blurred anymore. Oops. Object, Display, High Quality. All right, so we'll pick off where I'm going to stop right now, and we'll come back in the next video.